Being ignored by a man you care about is a terrible feeling. It's right there next to rejection, but maybe even worse. That's because when someone is ignoring you, it's like they're inflicting physical pain on you, but without any visible bruising. So why do men do it? And what should you do if you're being ignored? Well, in this completely new and updated video, I'm going to explain exactly what he's thinking when he's ignoring you, and I'll give you 3 powerful tips to ensure you get his attention back on you for good. I've made a similar video last year, but in this new video, I really simplify and better explain how a man thinks when he ignores you, and more importantly, you will learn 3 powerful new tips that have evolved over the past few years and work better than ever. Don't go anywhere because we're starting right now. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello, and I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy together. So hit subscribe, join our community so you don't miss any of our videos focused on making your love life the best part of your life. Everyone knows that ignoring someone who cares about you is a mean and cruel thing to do. So why do people do it? Well, believe it or not, there are really only 2 main reasons that explain 99% of all situations. That's right, nearly every example of the silent treatment happens because either number 1, he's trying to manipulate you, or number 2, he doesn't care about you. And I know those are both bad, right? Well, don't worry, because I'm going to explain what he's thinking, and I'll tell you exactly how to turn things around and get his undivided attention back on you. But I have to warn you, before you do anything, you have to be absolutely sure that he is ignoring you. Because if you panic too soon and accuse an innocent man of ignoring you, you could be sabotaging your chances of the relationship working out. So you've got to be completely certain that you aren't overreacting and panicking when there may be a legitimate and harmless reason for his lack of communication. I know that some of you have become very skilled at knowing when your messages are being ignored because you can see him active online or on Facebook or WhatsApp, even though he still hasn't responded to your texts or calls. That's when you start thinking that his silence is intentional, or that he's actually not responding to you on purpose. Be careful here. If a man doesn't reply to your text right away, but eventually he gets back to you in the next few hours or the next day, this isn't such a big deal. Chances are he's got a good explanation and a good reason for not getting back to you. But if someone is leaving you unanswered after days and days, and you see him online and posting on social media, then you know that you're being ignored. And now you can start to worry. And of course, if you've had an argument or a fight, then you know that he's ignoring you because he's angry or upset. But if there's nothing out of the ordinary that has happened, and you don't know the reason why he's ignoring you, that's when you start questioning everything. You start replaying everything in your head over and over, trying to figure out what happened. Was it something you said? Did he learn something about you that he didn't like? And honestly, that's incredibly difficult to handle because it heightens your anxiety to the level of almost panicking. And here's why. Being ignored forces you to deal with uncertainty and ambiguity. And your brain doesn't like uncertainty or ambiguity. Uncertainty activates the amygdala, the region of the brain responsible for processing emotional reactions and threat responses. The amygdala can't separate physical threats like someone coming at you with a knife from silly threats like someone not responding to your text message. So when you're being ignored, it makes you feel afraid, almost like you're panicking. Being ignored also activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that detects physical pain. That means the same areas of the brain that make you feel physical pain are activated when you're being ignored, and then you feel physical symptoms too. These symptoms could include anything from headaches to stomach pains, as well as insomnia and anxiety and fatigue. Yeah, being ignored hurts, and it hurts a lot. So why do men use the silent treatment? Let's start with number 1. He's trying to control or manipulate you in some way. The silent treatment is often used as a form of punishment or manipulation when a person is upset or angry or disappointed. Actually, this type of punishment is the most common pattern of conflict in a committed relationship. But it's also one of the most damaging because it's motivated by revenge and control. In this case, he's ignoring you because he wants you to feel the pain that uncertainty provokes. He wants you to feel that anxiety and uncertainty. He wants you to plead with him, to communicate with you. It puts the power and control in his hands. Now, don't get me wrong, this is absolutely not a healthy way to solve any dispute or disagreement. The silent treatment is tremendously damaging to your relationship because it reduces the capacity to communicate in a way that's healthy and meaningful. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to handle this manipulative behavior in just a second, but first I want to tell you the second way a man might be using the silent silent treatment to manipulate you. And that is when he's playing games and pretending not to care. This is often the case when you have no idea why he's ignoring you. See, at the beginning of a relationship, a man may believe he has to play hard to get or pretend not to care in order to sustain your interest and get you wanting him more. For example, a man who doesn't feel he's getting enough attention from you, he might engage in some manipulative behavior in hopes of creating doubt or fear or jealousy in the relationship and get the attention back on him. This kind of behavior is a powerful form of manipulation that sadly can be very effective because it works. He's purposefully ignoring you or taking longer and longer to respond to you because he wants you to experience that uncertain, panicked response so that you'll be more receptive to him when he does reply. But make no mistake about it, if he's doing this, he will not push it too far because he doesn't want to lose you. He just wants more of your attention and is using this as a manipulative tactic. Now, on the other hand, if he goes days and days without responding to you or seeing you and you don't know why, then you are likely dealing with reason number 2. He doesn't care about you. When a man wants you, he usually makes it known beyond a shadow of a doubt. He pursues you. He's constantly texting you and calling you and wanting to see you. Yeah, when he really wants you, it's usually very obvious. In fact, he probably even lets you know in advance if he's going to be away from his phone or unavailable for a while. And ignoring you in this case would be the last thing he would ever do because he would be afraid of disappointing you or losing you. Again, if he's pretending not to care, he may make you wait a little bit before responding, but he certainly won't go days and days without responding. And if he's ignoring you to punish you, you probably already know he's angry. So if it's not these last 2, then he's ignoring you because he just doesn't care. In this case, he may be stringing you along or using you as a placekeeper until someone better comes along. And if he's doing that, he's certainly not going to tell you. Instead, his behaviors will often reveal much more about what he's really feeling. As they say, actions speak louder than words. And of course, this can be a difficult truth to accept. We often choose to believe that someone is just busy or naturally bad at texting, which is why they are ignoring us. But don't believe that for a minute. Everyone knows how painful it is to be ignored. So if he's ignoring you, he really isn't concerned about your feelings. Or maybe he's trying to break up with you but doesn't want to deal with the confrontation of hurting your feelings. He would rather fade out of your relationship than end it properly. So if you feel him pulling away and making excuses not to see you, then he's using ignoring you as a breakup method. He's hoping that you'll eventually get fed up with being ignored and end the relationship yourself. Or you'll just stop trying and the relationship will fizzle out without any kind of confrontation. So let's talk about the best way to handle each of these situations, the 3 tips to turn things around. Number 1, do this if he's ignoring you as a form of punishment. If you've had an argument or a fight, he might be ignoring you until the situation calms down, especially if he's uncomfortable with conflict or feels that arguing is counterproductive. Even so, being ignored when you're angry is incredibly frustrating and not a healthy way to solve a dispute. So, how do you turn this around? Well, first, do your best to find out what is wrong. And do not give him the silent treatment back. If one or both of you need space, establish that. And since communication is often the issue, try to discuss and understand the situation. But if your attempts to communicate go unanswered, you need to take a different approach. Remember, he is looking for a reaction from you and a sense of control. And he gets that when you continue to reach out and call and text and beg him to talk to you. And that just leads to continued disdain and contempt and silence and further reinforces his behavior. That almost guarantees that he will ignore you again in the future. Instead, if he continues to ignore you after a day or 2, consider sending him this final message in a text. Hey, I see that you're not responding to me. I'm not sure why, but I want to understand why you are angry or upset or sad. If you're not ready to talk or if you need space, I understand. But the silence is hard for me, so could you let me know? Maybe we can find a time to talk in the next few days. But I can't continue with this relationship if you keep shutting me out. And that's it. No more than that. And often that is enough to get an immediate response and usually provokes a communication within a few days. Nevertheless, your job is done and you must let it go and stop trying to communicate. Trust me, if you've been trying and trying to get him to talk, he will notice when you've stopped, and that's when the tables get turned. Number 2, Do this if he's pretending not to care or playing games. Pretending not to care is motivated by insecurity and him wanting to feel better about some aspect of the relationship. He wants to know how much you care or to find out how you feel about him. And obviously, all of this comes from a low self-esteem and an unawareness of how he's hurting the relationship. So, how should you handle this? Well, call him out on his behavior and see how he responds. You have a choice in this. You can choose to confront the guy and ask him what he's really feeling, and also be prepared for him to become angry and defensive because no one likes to be found out. Remember, he might not fully understand why he's doing what he's doing. Or you can take his indifference as a clue that he's truly not interested in you and move on. You don't have to be a victim of another person's lack of consideration for others. So this conversation will either challenge him to stop the games with you and attempt to be real, or he will simply move on to someone else. Number 3, do this if you feel he may be fading you out or breaking up with you. If he no longer initiates communication and is very slow to respond to you with 1 or 2 word answers, then he's using ignoring you as a breakup method. He's hoping that you'll eventually get fed up with being ignored and end the relationship yourself. Or you'll just stop trying and the relationship will fizzle out without any kind of confrontation. So, what do you do in this situation? Instead of being strung along, tell him this: if this isn't working out for you, I understand. I just need to know so I can move on without any doubt or hesitation. Then, if he wants to break up with you, you've just given him the opportunity. And if he doesn't want to break up, it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation and communicate your needs and expectations for the relationship. The goal here is to find out what his true intentions are. And if you aren't sure of your man's true intentions, you should click here to watch this video to find out if you're wasting your time or if your relationship has long-term potential. And please, click on the logo that appears below to subscribe so you're getting our latest videos when they come out. I'll see you in the next video.